Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we're discussing 5 Space Marine chapters we need to see more of as we move into 10th edition. 5 storylines I hope to see continued. General spoiler warning to begin, as the events we're discussing today are from across the Warhammer 40k universe. So you have been warned, and with that said, let's just jump straight in. One of the best things about moving into a new edition is always the fresh jump of excitement the lore and setting receives. The past few editions have really taken that to the next level. The return of Guilliman and the launch of the Indomitus Crusade, the return of the Silent King, and now the return of Lion L. Johnson. For all the anticipation I have for the upcoming main narrative though, avoiding spoilers like crazy, the truth is some of the absolute best stories out there come from complete surprises or unexpected chapters. And with such a vast and rich setting behind us, there's countless mysteries, theories, backgrounds and storylines that sometimes we're teasingly left wanting to see more of. And so today, I thought it'd be fun to discuss 5 chapters in that category for me. 5 chapters I really hope get a little spotlight in 10th edition. Now, there's hundreds of chapters out there we could choose from, and I haven't gone for any of the 2 obscure ones out there. So I don't think there'll be anything too surprising or unheard of here, but I definitely think these particular chapters have great stories yet to tell, and I've intentionally selected chapters who largely have open stories out there yet to be finished. So first of all, I'm going to go with the Minotaurs. Now, the Minotaurs are a fairly popular chapter, yet one you may not have heard too much about if you're more of a casual fan. For me, they represent some of the best aspects of the lore. Their history is surrounded in no small amount of mystery, strongly believed to be founded within the cursed 21st founding, and to an unknown gene seed. The very identity of the chapter provokes intrigue. With most of the chapter history locked away behind seals that even the Inquisition struggled to breach, it's strongly believed they were founded on the explicit orders of the High Lords of Terror, loyal to them over any other, their own personal chapter of Astartes at their beck and call. And this, alongside their mysterious heritage, is why I feel a storyline focused around the Minotaurs would be absolutely fantastic. Within the second novel of the Watchers of the Throne series, The Regent's Shadow, the Minotaurs were heavily involved with the rebel High Lords of Terror's attempts to remove Guilliman from power. Now, the Minotaurs arrived at Terra under the pretense of assisting the Custodes and Imperial Fist chapter in putting down the rebellion, with Chapter Master Moloch even brazenly lying about it to Trajan Valoris's face. However, it soon became clear through their actions where their loyalties and motives laid. Their tense relations with the Imperial Fists was one of barely restrained hostility, which didn't take long to erupt into all-out violence. The height of this conflict ended with Minotaur Chapter Master Moloch about to go toe-to-toe with Custodian Valerian, with Valerian legitimately unsure if he would win. An absolute testament to Moloch's prowess, for a Custodian should and usually would wipe the floor with any Astartes. Moloch and the Minotaurs were only eventually halted by the new High Lords of Terror's orders, and with that they left without a further word. So this for me leaves a fantastic story and narrative to be continued and developed. Fingers crossed, maybe a Minotaurs focused novel in their own right, or at least an Imperial Fist one, bringing them once again into contact with the Minotaurs. Perhaps even giving us some time with the new Imperial Fist chapter master at the same time, who, let's be fair, is a character we really should see more of in the lore. How cool would it one day be to see him prosecuting a campaign alongside this ally they despise, seeing how he contends with chapter master Moloch. With the Minotaurs, there's so much to truly be unravelled and explored. In the past, they've been portrayed as berserkers akin to world eaters, or paranoid to the point of Perturabo. And outside the lore, they've been stated to be secret Iron Warrior successors. But could we see this mystery more developed or even confirmed in lore? It's undoubtedly something I would really love to see. So with a rivalry with the Imperial Fists out there, a chapter that was more than willing to go toe-to-toe against the Custodes, a mysterious heritage and reputation, along with suspicious ties to the High Lords of Terror, the Minotaurs for me definitely need a little more spotlight in the next edition. Moving on, next I have the Crimson Fists. Now, there was a time in 40k's history where the Crimson Fists almost felt like the real poster boys. However, in recent years they have definitely fallen into the background somewhat. As an Imperial Fist successor chapter, it feels like their cousins the Black Templars are getting a lot of attention. However, the Crimson Fists themselves, not so much. Now, I've spoken of my love of the portrayal of Pedro Cantor in the novel Rincewild over the years. It's a classic I really recommend reading, and I really feel the history and struggle he and his chapter have had over the years has left them with one of the most standout backgrounds of a chapter. Their fortress monastery obliterated in the blink of an eye, their chapter virtually destroyed, and yet Cantor and the Fists came through the Orc War that decimated their home. And then, besieged in the fall of Cadia's aftermath by a demon invasion, the Crimson Fists once more salvaged their home from the brink of ruin, clinging to survival with desperation. With the arrival of Guilliman and the Indomitus Crusade, the Fists were reborn anew with the Primaris, and Cantor himself was awarded the title of Praetor en Carmine, charged with the task of fortifying the entire Loki sector. However, since being awarded this new title, being given this new burden of duty, we haven't seen much. I've seen one or two short stories, but they've largely still been based on Rincewild, and we have seen their forces included in various campaigns, showing us they are once more a force upon the galactic stage. But I think it would be absolutely fantastic to see more of Cantor's expansion and fortification of the Loki sector, showing us how these traits of Dawn still live within the chapter, how Cantor is dealing with this new enhanced responsibility, after so long of having to remain focused on simple survival, the challenges and conflicts his new responsibility has brought about, without and within. Pedro Cantor is a standout chapter master, one with respect across the galaxy, with him being awarded the position of Praetor en Carmine, being charged with the fortification of an entire sector, I think it's only right we got to see Cantor getting down to business, taking his determination for revenge across the galaxy. Next, moving on, the Sons of the Phoenix. If there was ever a more on-the-nose, wink-wink, nudge-nudge, these guys just totally aren't traitor Geneseed loyalists, well, then I can't think what is. The moment this Ultima Founding chapter made its appearance in the Space Marine Codex, our imaginations ran wild. Supposedly an Imperial Fist successor, the Sons of the Phoenix scream the legacy of Fulgrim. The name is obvious, Fulgrim often being referred to as the Phoenician. Their colour scheme even echoes that of the Emperor's Children Legion, combined with the teasing possibility of Belisarius Cawl having experimented with traitor Geneseed, despite having been expressly forbidden to do so by the Lord Commander. This makes the Sons of the Phoenix one of, if not the, most wanted chapter to be explored. For me, I just want to see this chapter coming up against the Emperor's Children, getting a story of the Emperor's Children reacting to this chapter would be absolutely astounding. Seeing their reaction at first to the indignation of a chapter clearly named at their expense, maybe even giving them echoes and memories of the glory they once were. But then the deeper dawning and realization by the way they fight, the way the Marines look beneath their armour, with one surely bearing the white hair and violet eyes, that this chapter is indeed founded with Fulgrim's heritage. How the Emperor's Children would react to that. Oh, that would be absolutely breathtaking. And even seeing the Sons of the Phoenix reactions themselves, the refusal to believe it, but then that element of doubt being laid. And hey, it could even lay the groundwork for that much longed for Fulgrim return, something the Phoenician would surely want to see for himself. I don't know if a Primaris Ultima Founding chapter has been declared fallen traitors yet, but surely there's no better candidate for the first one than this. I know, I'd love to see them being led by the loyal clone of Fulgrim as well, but I don't see him escaping Trazin's confines anytime soon. We haven't spoken about him in quite a while, so maybe we'll do that again another day. But for now, for me, seeing the Emperor's Children going up against the Sons of the Phoenix, the truth and question of their heritage being laid, I think that is something we absolutely need to see. Next, I have the Emperor's Spears. Now, let me start by saying if you haven't read the novel Spear of the Emperor, then just stop listening to this and go read it without spoilers now. Because quite simply, it's just an absolute Aaron Dembski-Bowden classic. And it's one you can just dive into without needing wider knowledge of anything else for the most part. So there's no reason not to. The Emperor's Spears represent a great story still to be told, for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, this chapter represents the perfect example of life across the Great Rift, how it's truly descended to nothing more than a constant fight for survival, the realities of life where the Imperium no longer truly exists. While their first outing gave us a good showing and example of this, for me there is still so much more left to be told as we move forward. With Guilliman's oncoming invasion of Imperium Nihilus, it raises a great opportunity to see how all of these chapters that have survived the Dark react and respond to the return of the Imperium. For while they have been desperately fighting for what it represents, to keep its dream alive, the truth is their lives have been fundamentally different since the Great Rift's coming. The independence they have had will be gone. And thanks to the Dawn of Fire series, we have also seen the negative effects simply supplying these fleets can bring. For worlds and chapters across the Great Rift, that burden would be 10 times worse. As an Ultramarine successor chapter, who have certainly departed quite far from your standard Macraggian traditions, I think it would be fascinating to see the coming arrival of Indomitus Stage 2 through the Emperor's Spear's eyes. And aside from that, they also have their own stories still to be told. The Emperor's Spears are the protector of the region of space known as the Alara's Veil, an area which should be manned by 3 chapters, now essentially falls on their shoulders alone. Their sworn chapter brothers of the Star Scorpions have now become their sworn enemy, a chaos warband known as the Pure, and they are pushing the spears back across the Veil, piece by piece. The third and final chapter of their original triumvirate is the Celestial Lions, who we have seen, despite their clear and undoubted heroism, are still prosecuted by the pettiness and immaturity of the Inquisition. A chapter already on the brink of survival had their legendary chapter master Ekene Dubaku assassinated. And so, despite being heavily intertwined in story with the Emperor's Spears, the Celestial Lions are the 5th chapter of my selection. When last seen, Dubaku fell to the Inquisition assassin, leaving the Spears and the Celestial Lions at more of a loss than ever before, ending with both the chapters leaving a clear warning to the Inquisition: any forces out there approaching their territory will be treated as hostile. How appropriate it is that the most grievous and heavily felt blow to befall both of these chapters, heroes of the Imperium, is not from the forces of chaos, but from the very institution they fight to protect, the Imperium of mankind. And now, with the return of the Imperium, if it does indeed reach the Alara's Veil, it raises the very real possibility of further conflict and outright war between the Inquisition and the defenders of the Veil. All while the Spears and the remnants of the Celestial Lions are still trying to fight back the forces of chaos. Will the Inquisition come again? How will the Spears and Lions react to the Imperium's arrival? How would an Indomitus fleet react to the Spears' virtual declaration of war against the Inquisition? Who is the new Lions chapter master? And can he save his chapter from extinction? Of all the stories to be told as we move into 10th edition, it's probably the fate of these 2 loyal chapters that I'm hoping to see the most. But as always everyone, what do you think? Honourable mentions to me have to go to that of the Unforgiven successors. Much like we've seen with Guilliman and his sons, will we get to see more of a focus on the other Unforgiven chapters now that the Lion is returning? Will he begin to command them like the First Legion? Each chapter may be akin to the wings of the Legion of old. Will the Iron Hands located on the far galactic west now take their time to shine in the face of the rising threat of the Tyranids? But with those honourable mentions aside, what of my 5 chapters? The Minotaurs, the Crimson Fists, Sons of the Phoenix, Emperor's Spears and Celestial Lions. Like me, would you like to see their stories continued? Or do you have another unsung hero of a chapter you'd love to see receive the spotlight? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers. Your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.